to introduce today's webinar, it's all around going beyond the theory to give you some more actionable insights to drive and flex your marketing plan, but to get better results. It's all about inquiries. Okay, so today I've got this lovely bunch of people with me. So we have Hollie here, who's our SEO manager. She lives and breathes SEO, but more so focused on the migration, but also loves technical and SEO content. We've got Mark.
Mark.
Good start, yes.
Double barrel.
He's new.
Paid media manager, extensive background in performance marketing, and looks after our social team and our paid media team here at Extramile. And then we've got Andy, our digital transformation manager. Andy's got years and years experience as a developer, building fast websites, but that's focused on driving leads. And we have Shannon, our lead designer, who is a specialist in digital design and is a keen advocate for performance data-driven design. So, we are literally going to kick off with a poll. So, get the chat function working, because the question is, what is your single biggest challenge in generating digital leads right now? Okay, so 4 options. A, haven't got enough website traffic. B, low volume of leads coming through. C, poor website conversion. Or D, proving ROI. So pop in the chat an A, a B, a C or a D, and then we'll get chatting.
Cue the countdown music.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This is where we need the music. Yeah.
We've got 2 Ds.
There we go.
Oh, 3 Ds, 1 A. Oh, there you go. The D, proving ROI. We actually thought
We
that
thought
I
that
said
might
no.
be
We had an internal poll.
Yeah, we did have an internal poll about this. Okay, it looks like D is the plan. So proving ROI. So,
Yeah, I think I'll say a little bit about this.
go on then.
So obviously it is a big challenge for many companies, and it's about where is that lead come from? Where's the sale? When you've got a sale, where is it being generated from? And the solution to this is closed loop reporting. And it's basically connecting the dots between your marketing and your sales. So just to give you a quick example, a visitor will click an ad on LinkedIn. They'll then go to your website, fill out a form, they become a lead. The attribution data of that, so what ad they clicked, is then sent to a CRM. The sales team then works the lead, makes the sale, and the data is then passed back to the CRM. And there you can properly track the return on investment from your original channel.
We are actually going to talk about this, especially ROI and data, further down, because we do know how important proving ROI is, and we also know how difficult it also can be. So it doesn't surprise us that that's come up today as a challenge. But thanks, really appreciate you getting involved in that. There's a couple more. So I think one of the biggest things here is when you're looking to prove ROI, more importantly, it's understanding what works and what doesn't. And that's why really with marketing changing as much as it is at the moment, building 12 to 24 month marketing plans just isn't viable anymore. Things are changing too quickly. Here at Extramile, we're actually doing 3 to 6 month marketing plans now because of how quickly marketing is moving. I mean, Hollie will touch base on the movement in SEO. There's so many changes going on in the paid media world, with LinkedIn being a big proportion of that now. So being able to be agile in your marketing plan is absolutely vital, more so now than it ever has been in marketing. You've got to be able to flex, but go back to the ROI point, understanding what works and what doesn't. Actually, every month that may change, every 3 months that may change. and you need to be able to flex and be agile enough to change your marketing plan. But it's all about data. Okay. So
It is.
we're going to talk about flexing your plan. Okay. And what it actually means. So if we talk about data, you've got data everywhere. The whole biggest piece around digital marketing is it's completely measurable. The old traditional marketing methods are not always measurable. You'd have to put a QR, well, not even a QR code, like a voucher code, and be able to track that individually in a print magazine, for example. Whereas digital is completely measurable. And therefore you've got to use the data. If you're using Google Analytics, it's a great free platform that you can use to track all your channel data. However, each different channel, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, even from an SEO world, you've got Search Console as well, SEMrush, Mars. You've got all these different pieces of software to really support collecting data. But what we'll do further on is actually talk about what metrics are actually important by different channels as well. Because understanding what metrics that you need to look at, because there can be huge amount of metrics to look at, and you can get lost in the data as well. But I think monthly performance reporting, whether you're doing that with an agency or you're doing it in-house, is absolutely vital, and to choose which metrics actually go against what you're trying to achieve. And I think what it goes into is when you're running any marketing, you've got to seriously start right from the start. What are you actually trying to achieve? Because if you don't have an objective, you don't have set KPIs, what are you working towards? And I think that when we're working with our clients right at the onboarding stage and throughout our partnership, it is all about working towards our KPIs and achieving them as well. It's not always that easy. No, we get that. And that's why you've got to be able to flex. So, Shan, what steps can our audience take to understand their customers?
I think first and foremost, I think it's important to just talk a little bit about how important gathering audience intelligence is to a designer and marketer. I think with the way that the humans are evolving in this digital world, it's not just sort of monitoring and targeting soft demographics like job title, age, location is just not going to cut it. You've got to go in a little bit more personalised, because there's got to be a more emotional grab for people to then part with their money.
Yeah, because it's so competitive as well.
Exactly. It's like how can you determine what best to go with without that information? I think it's really, really critical. I think we need to take steps to understand who our best customers are and what they're sort of like what do they need right now? What are their current challenges? What are their needs? What are their interests? What's going to grab their attention? And there's various different things that you can do to gather that information. First and foremost, I think it's just talking to them, listening to them, engaging with them on social comments, in forums, encouraging them to write reviews and get in touch. I think that's really, really important.
I think on that point is businesses actually, you can become quite scared to ask for testimonials and reviews and feedback, but actually it's the best thing you can do for you, because actually if you're doing a great job, you'll get amazing feedback. And we did this ourselves. We asked our clients for reviews, and it's proud to read them.
I think as well, it's, sometimes, you don't want a negative review, don't you?
No, of course not.
But I think it's how you put a spin on that. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe it's a negative review, but take learns from that.
It's constructive.
Exactly. I think it's really important to build an ideal customer profile as well. So obviously there's always going to be a broad target, particularly in the B2C world. But I think it's, if it's focus groups, if it's maybe talking to the sales team and understanding how, who the people that they're talking to on a daily basis, and sort of answer these questions. So what problems are your audience trying to solve? What content are they more likely to engage with, and what channels do they prefer? So are you finding that they're coming through Instagram or and whatnot? Or that information is really, really key, because then you can then tailor your content to then reflect those channels.
And I think that really does change in our B2B world, with us focusing on manufacturing, engineering and chemical. What we've seen more recently is that shift, with LinkedIn being a massive part of that, because a lot of our customers, they're all talking to each other on LinkedIn. And
Exactly.
it's a channel probably 5 years ago that wasn't really a prominent channel to be utilised, especially for paid advertising.
Yeah.
It was mainly Google Ads.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, funnily enough, I had an interesting conversation with a marketer on LinkedIn recently, and she was saying that they run like a B2C sort of like online shop, and then they were looking at abandon rates, and they actually selected someone from their abandoned cart email, and then they just gave them the product.
I saw that, yeah.
I was like, how cool is that? And I know that that's just something simple, you know, nothing, not going to break the bank or anything like that.
Yeah,
but then you've got just something a little bit. It's like, oh, that brand did that for me.
Yeah.
But I think
And
also
that goes so far.
that's using data, okay? And I think that's a really important point here is you've got to be able to use the data that you can get hold of, and that's your sales potential data.
Yeah.
Utilise it, maximise it.
Absolutely. And on that point as well, I think obviously going into the data and looking at what people are searching for, top pages, the analytics side of things, obviously, Hollie, you could talk more a little bit about that. But I think it's watching out for intent signals. So an intent signal, if you think about it as a sort of like you know, you're walking along the high street and you're looking at a shop, and then that individual slows down to something that they're interested in. It's that, okay, well, how do we track that? How do we monitor that using data? And I think that's really important as well. You know, and things like running small tests, A/B testing goes a long way. You know, even if it's a slight change of a messaging and maybe the change of a button colour, you can then track the difference that makes in terms of conversions. So I think really, just to summarise, I think marketers just need to spend less on the people who aren't interested and spend more on people that are, and invest more time in understanding their needs. And that's basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got anything?
Obviously, being digital marketing, you have a great access to your own CRM, which is your actual customers. You can use that data to retarget potential new customers in your paid advertising, which is one of the most powerful tools you can have, especially in B2B when the audiences are typically a bit smaller, a bit more specific. You already have it narrowed down, and platforms like LinkedIn, Google, and even Meta, they can build lookalike lists, which are really powerful. And I think like Meta ads is obviously something a B2B should explore a lot more, because at the end of the day, we're targeting people. It's not the business necessarily, it's an individual who has human emotions and things. How can you capture that in a moment where they're actively scrolling? And Meta is one of those places. So as a personal thing, I'd love to test that kind of approach in B2B especially. So yeah.
Okay, so now we know a bit more about our audience, okay? It's now more important, and Mark's already touched on this, but it's actually how each channel can really work together, but also more importantly, how they can complement each other. So, Hollie and Mark, from a search point of view then, how do you balance organic SEO and paid media?
I think it's about like having a unified search strategy. So, you know, where can PPC pick up the slack from SEO? So say, you know, there's you're trying to rank organically for a really key term, but you know it's going to take 6-12 months to gain traction on that term. That's why you come in and use PPC. You get immediate visibility for that term, and while your SEO catches up. And similarly, almost the reverse of that, if you've got a PPC term that's performing really well but it's high cost per click, but you just know it's a performer, you would prioritise creating some content for that term on your website, go after it organically. Once you do start ranking, then you can reduce the spend on that keyword, so you're saving money, you're working together to increase those leads but at a lower cost.
Absolutely, yeah, I think they complement each other, don't they? So SEO is typically your longer term, slow burn but greater reward at the end, whereas your paid search is short term but hopefully immediate impact. So you need to balance the two, just as Hollie said. I think your own brand strength comes into play here, because maybe you need to be more brand awareness in other channels. I think having a holistic approach means you can like do brand awareness on other channels, which picks up SEO, not just relying on PPC to maybe pick up that slack, because brand presence is really important as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I actually think the brand present thing is something that we're always here, and what we're talking about today is driving inquiries. However, if no one knows about your business, it's your storefront, your website is your storefront. You're not walking along the high street and seeing something visual. You can have an amazing website, but if no one knows about it, you're never going to drive traffic, let alone inquiries. So that visibility for your brand is absolutely key. And different channels do different things. Okay.
I think it's important to add to that though, Jen and Mark, that obviously if you're you've got these mix of channels, how do you know which one is the one that's performing? And that comes back to attribution.
Yeah.
Being able to track it when that customer has first interacted with paid media, where have they come from? Was it direct, organic? And then you can then track that and be able to really pinpoint which channels are working well for you and not waste money on budgets, which we're probably
I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but I think it is key. It's in B2B, the biggest thing is we understand the sales cycle can be incredibly long. It can be 3 months, 3 weeks to 2 years for some of our clients that we work with. Therefore, you need to be able to track that, because if you don't, you're just going to forget. So, because what you've got to understand is someone could do a Google search, come through a Google Ads link, visit the site, not do anything, okay? They could come back 4 to 6 weeks later, search for a very similar term but could be different. They could come through SEO, but then, okay, they may just put up maybe a contact for me. They might just have a look around the site a bit more. They may not then come back for another 3 months, okay? But that cookie's still there, but then they may convert in 3 months' time. And at the moment, majority of data is last click. So let's say that last conversion, which is actually your lead or inquiry, let's say that's come through SEO. All the percentage, you're just thinking SEO has done that inquiry. Well, actually, Google Ads started that. And that's where you've got to understand how they all work together. And if you don't, you won't be able to put your budget in. We're going to talk about that a bit more. Okay, content. Content is king, I'm going to say it. It's the word. Can't get away from it. I think when thinking about content that we've been doing for 2025, we've been able to find what's worked and what's not. So, I'm going to start with Mark. Kind of what content has been working for our B2B social clients?
Well, I think the first thing we've got to think about is like, what platform are you going to use?
Yeah.
It makes a massive difference. You need, as kind of Shan mentioned, where are your customers interacting? Where do they spend their time? When you know that, you can pick one of your social channels. So like there's a couple of typical best practices, I guess, for some of the channels. So like LinkedIn, it's typically your kind of your thought leadership, case studies, and lower down the funnel, kind of your lead gen forms. These kind of things work really well in that space. And then you can kind of go to the more, I guess, even more social sites like YouTube, where you got your kind of longer form videos doing like how-tos, or something that's relevant to your business. And then down to Instagram, TikTok, where it's more short, snappy, kind of highly engaging but short-lived kind of exposure. So there's lots of different ways you can do it, and it works well, but you just need to know where you're going to put it.
So go back to that audience piece then. Got to really understand that. But I think if we think typical B2B, you just touched upon Instagram and TikTok, and what we've got to really understand is clients' demographic is a big thing. Instagram is a younger demographic, however it is growing, and it is around 30 plus, 20 to 30, 40 plus now. Facebook is that older demographic of 40 plus. That's not going to change. However, TikTok is a real game changer, and I don't think in the B2B world we can ignore it now. It's a platform that actually has more searches than Google, and it's which is absolutely mental, right? And that's why we can't ignore it. It isn't a platform that you can just say, no, it's just for the younger demographic, because it's not. But also, the younger demographic are our future customers as well. So we have to think, where are they now? Or where are they going to be in the next 5 to 10 years as well? Be an early adopter. your competitors will follow. We've seen that with some clients that they've set up TikTok profiles, and Instagram, yes, but more so TikTok, and their competitors have started following them off the back of that, because they're like, well, hold on, they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've worked with clients and actually just recommended TikTok, and they've gone away and done it themselves, and it's been so lovely to watch. And some of it is just construction basis, some huge trucks driving around. It's simple, but you've got to think about the music. Go back to your audience. Who are your audience? Where are they? Okay, I'm going to touch on SEO content, because yes, content's king.
Yeah.
What's worked in the last 6 months with things changing, especially in the AI space?
Yeah, I think so. With AI, I think one thing that we've seen that's been really successful is sort of reformatting existing pages on websites, or when we're writing new content for websites, formatting it in a way that crawlers like, so LLM crawlers like to read that content. So it's about a balance of writing for those crawlers and writing for your users as well. So what we've seen that has been successful is, you know, having a short summary of what is on that page right at the top. You've then got bullet points that of the sections of that blog that have got anchor links, so that the user can click it, go down to that.
Yeah.
Using questions in your headings is a huge one. So think about, back to what Shannon was saying about the sales team. What questions are they getting asked? Put those in
Customer
the box.
service as well. Go back to your customer service team.
Yeah.
What are people being asked on the phones?
Yeah.
Because they're the types of questions that you can then answer on your website.
Yeah, because people will be asking those on the phone, but also online as well. So you want to be showing up when people are asking those questions.
Yeah.
Tables of information as well. So like if you've got product specifications, comparisons and things like that, they're always really well received. And a big one, FAQs. Include FAQs on your important pages, on your biggest sorts of services, offerings, and also add in schema, which I won't go too deep into because it's a bit technical.
But what is schema?
Schema, so structured data, so it's some code in the back end of your website that tells crawlers a little bit more about what that content is and what it relates to, and it can just help those crawlers gain context of your website. So if the more context the better, basically. It will pick up, you know, you'll get picked up for more searches if you've got a good context foundation there, and schema really helps with that. So we do that for probably all of our SEO clients now, and we've seen some really, really good results.
I think this is it. SEO has changed so much, and it's not a standing still channel at all at the moment. It's ever evolving.
Yeah, the last 12 months has been the biggest shift ever, I think, in the SEO world, and you know I think we're doing really well to keep up, and you know making sure that we are optimising for AI. So people are getting seen.
It's interesting now, Hollie, that almost the same sort of content page has got to appeal to two very different.
Very much so.
And it's always been something that we've had to try and balance, but it's kind of upped that we've had to up the game here, because it's sort of a different way that it's getting crawled, and the preferences of the crawlers are different, and we've really had to do a lot of research and testing into this. So I feel like we're in a really good place, and we've seen some really successful campaigns.
And then how do you balance then bringing in tone of voice into that whole thing? You've got all these various stuff. You've got these two sort of like key sort of like entities that you need to write content for, but then you've also then got tone of voice and content and the user, the human element to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really tricky balancing act sometimes. But I think at the end of the day, you write for your user as a priority. You can't just be like, right, we don't care about how they talk, and we just want to get seen in ChatGPT.
It is a balance, and I think it's only going to get harder.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're on it.
Right, okay. Let's talk budget and measurement, because especially go back to your point about ROI at the start, I think this is a real important aspect. So, poll time. It's a yes or a no answer this time. Nice simple one. Who sets financial budgets with targets against specific marketing channels? Oh no. Yes, yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
That's a yes or no question.
I'm confused myself. Pop it in the chat. It's okay to say no. Because I'm asking the question because this is what we're finding. Thanks, Molly, for being honest. I'm getting the answer's probably going to be no across the board. No, okay. No, we have 3 no's. Okay. Right. This is what I've been here nearly 4 years here, and B2B is very different to B2C. We can completely understand that. And proving ROI is incredibly difficult in the B2B world. However, there is ways around it, and I think that's what we want to talk about a bit more. So, the most important aspect here is understanding, first and foremost, where your inquiries are coming from. Okay, so back to what we said right at the start, because I also think there's something different between an inquiry and a lead. So an inquiry can be someone filling out a form or a contact us on a website. That doesn't actually say that's a lead, okay? Because leads need to be nurtured. So off the back of that, we can say, let's say in Google Analytics or in LinkedIn Campaign Manager, etc., you can say we generated X amount of inquiries. Then for a business, you then need to be able to take those inquiries and nurture them, and your sales teams to nurture them, to become leads. And then that lead can then have a value to it, because it's a quote. And then off the back of that, then it's your quote to your sale. So what we've identified is many businesses can't actually say what is their percentage of inquiry to a lead, and then a lead to quote, and quote to sale. And I think if you take anything away from today, this is the thing, because to really focus on your driving inquiries and making them profitable, first and foremost, get this data together. You can get some of this data from your sales, your finance software, like Zoho, for example, okay? Because you don't actually need your marketing data for this. You actually just need your inquiry and your sales data. And if anyone wants to talk about this further, more than happy to have separate phone calls, because I know it's quite a big thing. But if you can get that information, and especially right at the start, and understanding inquiry to a lead, you can then speak to yourself, so you can speak to an agency, and when you're seeing growth and you want, let's say, 20% growth, or you want 30% more inquiries or leads, and this is, we have a client who actually came to us and said, I want 30% more leads. We then had to work with them to actually track back, well, actually, if they want 30% more leads, actually how much percentage do we need to give them in terms of inquiries through their website? Okay? Now, there's a lot of different words there, but they are important. So, conversion rates and understanding your conversion rates is then be able to give you the understanding of actually where your inquiries are coming from, okay? Because if you start understanding inquiry to lead, and what Andy was talking about previously, about attribution, and you're understanding what channel that inquiry is coming from, you can then say, well, actually, where are my inquiries coming from? But where are my leads coming from? And that is more important, because you need to see where's your biggest conversion rate on inquiries to lead, okay? Because you may get a higher proportion of inquiries from SEO, but you may actually be generating more leads through LinkedIn, for example. And understanding that will then enable you to start putting together, and what I asked the question is, where do you put your marketing budget? Where do you invest your marketing budget in terms of channels? Because if you get that information, you can then say, I want my 30% growth in leads. I know what channel I need to go and put my budget in. And that might need to still flex and be agile. Like we said right at the start, that may need to change every 3 to 6 months, because the market changes. It never stops. But it is important.
It's about going back to the data, reviewing
It's all about the data.
and then looping back to that start bit. Yeah.
I think one of the things also is where you're tracking inquiries, where you're then tracking your leads. Okay, CRMs, customer relationship management systems, are really important. They don't have to be expensive either. HubSpot is a good solution, but also go back to basics. A spreadsheet can work. Okay, and we work with clients who are using spreadsheets. That's fine because you can still track it, but a CRM makes you be able to track it better, and we can then go into actually tracking all of those conversion rates through that whole process, and also what channel has driven those sales.
I think it's important for the marketing and sales to both be working together
It's
quite
so
tightly on
important.
this, isn't it? We find quite a lot, you know,
They're like this, two separate
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
there may be one software for marketing,
Yeah.
sales use a different
Yeah.
software, and I mean you can already see how are you going to track that data and
Yeah.
move it from one system to another.
Mhm.
You know,
You need it in
it's
one
going to be
place.
very difficult to do that.
I think the sales and marketing, sometimes you'll have one person doing that, especially within B2B companies we've identified. However, you can often have a sales team over here, a marketing team, but they actually need to be here together. They really do need to be working together. There shouldn't be a fight between two teams.
Yeah, if you can assign a value to a lead or an inquiry at a channel level, you can then look at the ROI of your LinkedIn ads, your Google ads, and you go, yeah, that looks quite expensive, but when I look at it from a ROAS perspective, return on ad spend, actually that channel is very effective.
Yeah.
It just looks high in comparison to something like Google ads, which typically has lower costs and ROIs because it's right at the bottom of the funnel versus your LinkedIn ads. But if you realise you're getting high value leads from LinkedIn ads, I think that's where you might have to invest more money. But you don't know that if you're not tracking it and you're not attributing correctly.
It's all about you getting concrete data to be able to back up your decisions moving forward. Yeah.
So, because we've identified this, let's say we've come up with a bit of a solution, okay? So we've created something that we're just about to launch as a new product for us. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I will do. So yeah, we've made it's WordPress specific plugin that we can set up on our clients' websites, and this will track users where they've come from. Is it direct? Is it through SEO? Is it through paid media? And using UTM parameters, we can get the exact ad that they came from. That's then stored as their first session. And as Jen was touching on earlier, if they go away and then come back via a different channel and then make an inquiry, we're tracking both. So we've got their current visit, their first visit, and then when they fill out a form, that data is then passed through automatically to the email stored in the database, and hopefully if there's a CRM, it's automatically going to be passed through to there, which is then where kind of the magic happens that you've just been talking about. But all this happens without any sort of manual input, and that's kind of the beauty of
and
the
I
plugin
think
that we've made.
the manual input is interesting here because we do work with clients who actually ask, where did you find us? How did you come to the website? And then I've just often say Google. It is often just Google, but actually if you're running paid activity, then you're actually missing that opportunity because you don't know if it's SEO or it's Google Ads. This stops all of this guessing game. It gives you the actual data. So yeah, very interesting, but should help a lot of people out.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we touched on this about metrics specifically, especially for B2B. These are, I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown of the key metrics that we're looking at tracking for our clients for each channel. If you want to write pen and paper, time to do it. So paid media, conversions, in a sense, inquiries, conversion rate, click-through rate, and return on ad spend.
Yeah,
You agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, return on ad spend, or ROAS, as you might see it in places. That's showing you how effective your advertising is. How much marketing budget you're putting against that advertising. What are you getting back? And obviously, you want that to be positive. So you're showing growth essentially. So it's definitely the most important one from a paid perspective.
Okay. SEO, website traffic, of course. Often SEO can be at least 50% of your website traffic.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Yeah.
Keyword rankings, they're not going anywhere.
No, they're changing, but they're not going anywhere.
AI citations, a new metric that you definitely need to start tracking. Inquiries as well. But also, one of the ones we also look at is like key events. A key event doesn't have to be an inquiry. It can be someone phoning.
Yeah.
It could be someone downloading a PDF, for example. But also, where are they downloading that information from? So what landing pages drive key events? Nothing?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's all about where they are in the funnel, these people on your website. So, a download is definitely something that can create a conversion. You're basically persuading that person at that stage in the funnel, this is for you. We are the business for you. Choose us. So that for me is absolutely as much of a key event as a call or an inquiry form.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like Shan's example of walking down the high street, stopping and looking in a window, a shop window. It's basically a digital version.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's equivalent to taking like a business card or a flyer or a
catalogue.
Anything that came to my head.
Organic social engagement rate. You want that engagement on your post for sure. Website traffic, it can be quite a small percentage, but always nice to get organic social website traffic. And again, it's inquiry based. But I think also it's actually really important. We're talking basically channel specific here, but I actually think bigger picture as well. Go back to like utilising your Google Analytics when you're looking at all your channel data and look at conversion rate. We touched on conversion, we know we'll touch on it a little bit, but actually what's your conversion rate for your site? Because it's not always about driving more traffic to your site, is it? It's actually about utilising the traffic you've got on your site now and making it convert better. And then page speed, but I know we'll touch on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we've got a question.
Oh, hold on, we got a question. That plugin is what we all need, yes? We are literally just in testing, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, it's
pretty much ready to go.
So,
And what's it called, Andy?
We haven't given it a name
it hasn't
yet.
got an official name. Mark, you put me on the spot.
No, we haven't got a name. So,
EMD attributor.
Maybe.
Well, there we go.
We need to come up with something a
Yeah.
bit more,
A bit more unique.
we will give it a name, finish the testing. So I would say it's going to be available within the next month, maybe Jan. Fingers crossed. We should be able to launch it in January.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, what can marketers do then? Okay. So, I'm going to start with paid media.
Yeah. Some actionable insights
Yes,
to take away,
please.
of course. Yeah, so I think it's important to kind of match like your paid ads to kind of the intent of your customers, what they want to do, not just a blanket message for everyone. You need to know at what stage in the sales process they are. Are they just exploring the concept of the service or product you offer? Are they in the consideration phase, or are they at the bottom of the funnel ready to become, a lead or make a purchase? So you need to make sure your messaging is on the right platform, kind of at the right time, so the right stage of the funnel, and the right audience. Make sure you're targeting your customer base or people who look just like them, because then you're more likely to set yourself up for success, and that's what we want. And then lastly, I have to drop it in, track everything that's paid. You have to be able to prove its worth, and
Get your tracking right.
get your tracking sorted.
It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Right. Hol, what's your key takeaways then for SEO and content?
So, I want to sort of challenge the way that people kind of think about search and keywords, because I think it's changed so much that it just doesn't work the way that it used to anymore, and I think that's where a lot of people are falling down. So it used to be that a sort of, think of it, your casting a huge net into the ocean, trying to catch a specific kind of fish, but you're just getting loads of irrelevant traffic through to your website. You might catch a few of those fish, but generally it's not very effective. We are now sort of moving more into looking at, you know, how are your customers thinking? What are they thinking before they're ready to make a purchase? And really honing in on that. So you're moving away from keywords that are just like, you know, what is industrial automation?
Yeah.
And you're really being a lot more specific now. So thinking about like, you know, your buyers aren't just looking for a crane. They're not just going to be like looking for a crane. They're looking for service providers who can provide preventative maintenance for overhead cranes in the southwest. They're really
specific.
They're
It's
telling
specific
you
now.
what they want and where they are in that stage of the funnel. So, you know, looking at moving from getting any traffic to specific traffic that is going to convert. So you need to, again, we're moving back to intent again. It's so important across all channels, and you know, all of your digital marketing, you need to be looking at intent. So you need to look at problem and solution keywords now. You need to be looking, right, again, honing on the sales team, your customer services, what are the problems, how can we solve it? So if you're looking at these kind of searches that those people are making, they're very specific. They're going to include a specific problem, a specific solution. They're going to be transactional or commercial, so cost of, best provider, compare, all of those kind of terms. So again, just utilise your sales team because they're going to be sat on a gold mine.
They are, and I think that's something that a lot of businesses forget.
Yeah, and it you know, when we've had sales teams involved in our meetings with clients, there's the stuff we get out of them.
It's so worthwhile,
so
beneficial.
Good. Yeah, so if you're not already, make
it.
sure that you're, even if every, you know, few meetings that you have with, if you work with an agency or whether you have an internal marketing team, include them every now and again. Because it's honestly, it's so worthwhile. So also looking at your customer journey again, like we're saying, like where are they in that funnel? I think what we see is a big mistake a lot of companies are making is just producing awareness content. They're not targeting people in the consideration or the decision making stage of the funnel. So you need to create content for the consideration stage that's, you know, comparison guides, white papers, spec sheets, things like that, targeting searches that are like our product versus competitors' product.
And I think when you're doing that type of content, go back to the fact that everything complements each other, okay? You can then utilise that information on a paid media campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get a download. It really is cross-channel marketing.
Yeah, it needs to be cross-channel marketing now. I think you can't just rely on one channel. We've got so many clients where we work together, and
they
see
get the best results.
The biggest successes.
Having that holistic view means that's how you flex your
It
marketing.
is. And what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, 1 month you could be spending this much on Google Ads, the next you might lower it down and then spend elsewhere, or exactly.
And it just means that, you know, the traffic that you're getting is qualified.
Correct.
It's not just any old traffic. And another thing that you can do as well, another action for you that's quite a quick win, I think, is a blog audit. Look at your top 10 best performing blogs, the informational blogs, the awareness blogs. Make sure that they have a next step in them. So look at them from
Call to action type.
Yeah. If you were that reader, what's the next step? Is it clear? If it isn't, you need to add it. Touching on calls to action as well. Make sure that the calls to action are specific to that stage in the funnel. They're not just
generic.
Contact us, download this. It's got to be sort of like download our vendor comparison checklist. Things that's, you know, very specific to where they are. Because again, you're utilising the fact that you've got these people on your site, you've done the legwork. All you need to do is just fine tune what is on that page. And you've turned those people from someone who is just casually reading that page to someone who is seriously considering you as their option. So it's about, you know, really optimising what you've got, and that's a pretty quick win because I can guarantee there's some opportunities on everyone's website right now that are just sitting there that aren't being utilised.
Gold to go. Right, okay. Slightly different angle now then. So, Andy, Shan, how can a website be optimised with lead generation in mind? question.
Yeah, so
The big
question.
Q.
Two angles to this, dev and
There is.
design. I'll let you go first, Shan.
I think, we've touched on this. Obviously, your website is probably your biggest shop front. It's an incredible tool in terms of marketing, and it's really, really important to invest time into it to get things right. From a design perspective, I think the focus needs to shift from, it looks great. Obviously, that's a given.
Yeah.
You get a designer, it needs to look great. That's almost I can.
Everything can look pretty,
Exactly.
but it needs to work.
Does it
But
work?
it's about performance-driven design, and it's about accessible design. Is your site accessible to your users, and does it serve its purpose?
Yeah.
Which is why obviously the data aspect is so important. And I think in terms of what you can do right now, obviously you can look at the user experience behaviours. You can implement heat maps, analyse that. You can see where people are dropping off, where people are coming in. You can adapt. Obviously, you can do a sort of like a messaging audit on your site, so you can adapt certain messaging. You an A/B split testing on certain different angles and tones of voice. And
I think that's actually a really interesting point, is running an A/B split test on just one heading or the wording on a button. Going to what Hollie's just said about the blogs, the wording on a call to action button can make a massive difference.
absolutely.
It's a test.
Yeah.
I think, Jen, you saying one thing, when you're doing an A/B split
Yeah.
test, you have to change one thing. You can't change
'Cause
the
you won't
colour
know what works.
and
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
text.
Yeah,
Because how can
absolutely.
you say what it
Exactly.
is? It's just, you've got to be scientific with it.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. And I think as well, it's ensuring that, we're talking about flexing your marketing plan. You need a flexible website. You don't need a rigid CMS. It needs to be, flexible enough so that you can get creative with your content. Create flexible landing pages. I think landing pages are really, really important. How they can, obviously, it's not necessarily too associated with your website. Landing pages are their thing in their own right, but I think that's really important. Using social proof and trust signals is massive. Reviews, accreditation badges, all that kind of stuff. If you can showcase that, please do, because it showcases that brand loyalty, that trust. And I think just really, really honing on your mobile experience. I think there's a lot of, personally, I think there's a bit of a stigma. So you look at your, GA data, and it's telling you that your mobile rate's low.
Yeah.
That could mean so many different things. It could mean that just at the moment your website is not responsive. It does not perform on mobile. That's why you're not getting the traffic. That's not why you're getting your conversions through mobile. Mobile is absolutely essential moving forward. It's been essential from day dot really, but it's just going to get more and more. So regardless of,
If you think your traffic is on mobile or desktop, you've got to think mobile first.
you've got to.
It's as simple
absolutely. It's not just a B2C thing. You absolutely have to. It's critical. And I think as well, there's a kind of touching on what you said, Hol, about making sure that your call to actions is direct and specific. That's massive.
Yeah.
Contact us, learn more. Learn more about what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to be specific, and that's going to be really important for screen readers. So people that can't access your website in the traditional manner that we would, they're relying on assistive technologies. Being specific with the content and with those labels is really, really critical. And also, do not overpopulate your website or your web pages with multiple call to actions. Keep it focused, keep it as one single per page, and you can't go far wrong really. And yeah, I don't know if you wanted to add to that, Andy.
Nice, Jan. Not from a design perspective, but I think obviously background being in dev.
Yeah.
And page performance. Jen, which you talked about, it is a massive thing when you're talking about optimising your website or your landing pages for lead generation. It might look really pretty. Shan, you've done your work. Looks great. Your content's fantastic, and you've spent 10 grand on LinkedIn ads driving traffic.
Effectively.
But if your users are all then coming to your website and it's like
Slow.
built badly, it's slow, that you're not going to generate leads regardless of how much effort you put into everything else, and that's where this sort of flexing comes in. They all work in harmony. I think just to back that up, just got a few stats. Google found that for every 1 second of page load, their inquiries drop 7%.
Wow.
Wow.
Which is mad. And a lot of websites, it's not 1 second.
No.
You know, it could be 2, 3. So we're multiplying that. And 53% of mobile users abandon a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. So, you know, they've clicked the ad, spent the money. They're just going to abandon straight away. So page speed is a massive factor in this conversation, and something that needs to be considered, and it's quite easy to overlook.
Yeah. It's also a
non-biased
ranking factor
opinion
as well. You know, you won't rank.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, it's one of Google's top 20 ranking factors.
Yeah.
So you know, you're not going to rank, from your on
And
the
it's
search
mobile.
with it.
Mobile
Yeah.
first.
Mobile
Don't
first, yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
looking at any page speed, don't look at your desktop.
Yeah.
Look at your
Yeah.
mobile,
Yeah.
and it's always going to look worse.
Mm.
In most cases, your mobile's always going to look worse, but that's the one you need to focus on.
Yeah. So there's you can go to PageSpeed Insights,
Mhm.
which is a website, and you can put your URL in, whether it be a landing page or your home page,
Yeah.
and you can actually get a very quick audit done, and it'll tell you how your page is performing, and that's an easy thing for everybody to do, to rule that out if they're not getting enough leads.
I think design and dev can work quite closely. Well, we do work quite closely together
Yeah.
in terms of page speed performance.
Mm.
There's certain design things that you can take into consideration when you don't overload the page with sort of like unnecessary animations, graphics, video. Obviously, yes, keep them there if it's serving a purpose. But if it's just decoration, it doesn't need to be there. You
It's
need
that
to be
balance, isn't it,
Yeah.
between design and performance?
100%. And I think if you get a designer that understands that,
Yeah.
it's gonna help massively.
Yeah, you don't want design and dev working in silos and not talking
Absolutely
to
not.
each other. There has to be a communication about it and back and
100%.
forth. Yeah.
100%. And yeah, I mean, there's always the 3-second test from a homepage perspective. So another quick action, I suppose, for you guys is take a look at your homepage and ask yourself 6 questions. So one, if a user tells you, I can't tell what you do. So if you're answering that question as a user, I can't tell what you do. I can't see a clear next step. I don't know why it matters. The design feels overwhelming. It loads slowly, and I don't feel like I can trust. Those are 6 key things that if you get that feeling, or you can answer any yes to those questions when you're looking at your homepage, that's something that you need to address. And I think that'd be a really good starting point for any marketer.
And I
really.
think we talk about the homepage, but the homepage is never going to be, well, it's always a big proportion of any website traffic.
Yeah.
It's not going to disappear. The homepage is always going to be a big proportion. So getting your homepage right, it's your first impression as a brand when they land on that homepage. So get it right.
Definitely.
Huge thank you to my panel today. Thank you all. But I think the 3 main things today, right? Be agile with your paid media budget, especially when you're spending on advertising. Be creative where you can. Focus your SEO and content on buyer intent. And treat your website as your lead conversion driver. It really is. Thank you very much for everyone for joining us.